Come with us now, if you dare, down a rickety staircase into a dank, dark basement. What awaits? The Saturday Night Freak Show.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Saturday Night Freak Show podcast, the movie review and talk show podcast that comes your way every Saturday. Whether you're ready for it or not, whether
Colin's
we're
not
ready for it or not, in our quest for total world domination. But we want you to choose the movies that we're watching.
Before we dominate the world, you get to dominate us for a month.
Why not? And we're giving you the opportunity to do that. How do you do that? You have to go over to our social medias. You can find us on Facebook.
Facebook.com/SaturdayNightFreakShow.
X.
@SatFreakShow.
I mean, I guess you can't vote by email.
No,
but what about on, you can find us on Threads.
Oh, at Saturday Night Freak Show.
And Instagram at Saturday Night Freak Show. And you can go there and you can vote on which of the movies you selected.
For Listener Choice Month.
Listener
And we will
choice.
watch
Our
the top
favorites.
four of them.
This is your opportunity, folks.
Yeah.
How do you feel about us? Do you want to punish us?
Yeah.
Do you want to do good things for us?
We've had some good years and some
Had some
real
good years.
not
I think the
Yeah.
last couple of years have been
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah,
we
they
did
have
get
been.
witchery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with
Thanks
that
for that
brought
one.
us the Hoff.
That made good discussion. No, there was good discussion to be had with Witchery. That's
So,
for sure.
you know, pros and cons.
Yeah. So now's the time. Go over there and vote. These are the Internet Radio Superstars.
Holly.
Michaela.
Sean.
And I'm Colin. And tonight we watched a movie that was chosen by...
Sean, what movie did we watch tonight?
You know, it's funny we were talking about Listener Choice Month because the director of tonight's movie had a movie in last year's
Really?
Listener's Choice.
Interesting.
Last
I'm excited to hear all about this.
earlier this year. So technically we're doing two movies of his in the same year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Fantastic.
We're bookending the
January.
year.
We
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Jeez, we really
wow.
are. He
That's-
directed Riki-Oh, the story of Ricky. If you guys
Oh,
remember
boy.
that, Holly, you were not here.
I wasn't here for that. Yeah.
Oh, man, the One Punch Man who'd go around and...
Just another
The
crazy
bad
movie.
guy that ate all the candy and powered up into
and
the
it
super
started-
guy.
Yeah,
I
like it was medicine.
very sad I was not here for that.
I still suggest you watch it.
Yeah.
But tonight we watched The Cat.
The Cat.
The Cat.
From the year.
AKA The 1,000 Years Cat.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yes. From the year 1992.
1990. Oh, that.
Riki-Oh,
okay.
Story of Ricky was 91, I believe. So
Wait, and
it's
who was the director?
wait, hold on. I got it right here. I always forget his name. Lam Nao Choi.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Lam Nao Choi.
This is a Chinese film.
Yes. It's
Okay.
a Chinese film.
Okay.
Hong Kong, 1991.
Oh, before the Chinese takeover, because that's what they kept referencing.
97. Yeah. That's they
Yeah.
mentioned the year in this. So yeah, before the Chinese takeover. This was a Golden Harvest.
Of
movie
course.
produced. Lam
At
Nao
some
Choi.
point, we're going to have to look into the whole history of Golden Harvest.
I
and-
think so, because he worked with also Shaw Brothers before.
yeah,
this.
right.
That's
Yeah.
where Lam Nao Choi got his start. He working with Shaw Brothers, and then eventually went to Golden Harvest later on. He started out as a. He worked his way up in Shaw Brothers. He was from working on set. He worked his way up to cinematographer. He's done tons of movies.
Always behind the scenes, so he was never like a martial artist. or-
No, none of that.
okay.
No, but he was very good at technical stuff. Effects, as you see in this movie, or optical effects, as you see a lot of in this movie. So that's where he got his start, and then he moved up to directing. The Cat was his last film. He's still alive. He's still with us. But
Okay. Oh,
wow.
yes,
Hasn't
Check on
made
that.
a movie since 92? 90, what'd you say, 91?
92.
92?
Hasn't made movies since then.
But
This
he
is
had
his
made
last
like a lot of them before the story of
But he
Ricky,
was.
right?
He
I mean-
basically said, "I'm never going to top this."
film. Pretty much.
Is that what happened?
Pretty
He's
much.
like, yep, can't do any better than the Cat.
Yes. Some of his movies were One Way Only. These are a lot of the Hong Kong films. Brothers from the Walled City, Men from the Gutter. That's his other big one. The Ghost Snatchers. Three Stooges Go Undercover.
What?
Yep.
What?
The Seventh Curse. Killer's Nocturne. Her Vengeance. Peacock King. Erotic Ghost Story. There you go.
Okay.
He's done some historical erotic comedies. Not my words.
I'm
Their
sorry.
words. Yes.
Historical erotic comedies.
Yes, you got it right.
That
sounds like something we should watch on the
it
show.
sounds
yeah.
like something I need to watch now.
I think you should look up this.
Yeah.
If you like the scene where his girlfriend was sweating a lot, I think that's what you'll get. In
Right, yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of his
yeah,
other
yeah,
movies. So
yeah.
maybe not.
I
Up
mean,
to you.
that to me that wasn't erotic so much as disgusting.
Right, exactly. Saga of the Phoenix, Story of Ricky, and then The Cat.
Wow,
you
what
So
a
there it
guy!
is. What truly.
I
What
mean-
genre would you put this movie in?
Sci-fi horror.
Absurdity.
Absurdity
yeah.
is a good genre for this.
Absurdity.
And some
Absurdity.
kind of action, right? You put,
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
there's a lot of, yeah.
Yeah.
like bullet action.
Yeah,
and-
there's a lot of gun fu.
yeah.
Or a little bit
Yeah.
of gun
But
fu.
there's also a lot of
bullet
made up folklore in this movie that seems to come out of
I'm-
nowhere.
I'm just
action.
gonna
Space folklore.
I'm just gonna say it right out the gate. This movie gave me everything. Like it really did.
Holly, I was really hoping you were going to be here tonight. Because I know you missed last week. And I was
Yeah.
like, I hope you're here because I think you'll appreciate this movie.
I could not believe what this delivered.
Well, this movie's kind of like a penance from Sean, I think, right? For decades
Yeah.
of
Well,
murdering
I mean,
cats.
In theory,
In the
we
movies
haven't
he
gotten into the
chooses.
making of this movie yet.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I want to know.
I mean,
Oh, true.
because fake cat death is one thing. Real cat death
Yes.
is another thing.
It's better than you think it is.
Okay. All right. Good.
Okay, so
Someone was fired from this movie, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
how did you come across this film? Are
Did you
a
come
big-
across it because of Ricky?
I was reading something on Ricky or Riki-Oh, and I think I came down to the cat or somebody had it on a list, and I saw a trailer, and if you can imagine what was in the trailer,
There's a ton of trailer bait in this.
Oh, yeah.
tons, and so I saw a cat suplex a dog,
Right. Yes.
and I said
Yeah.
I must watch this movie. And then I saw it was from the director of Riki-Oh, and I was like, next movie we're watching.
Like when you say we watched a movie with a fight between a cat and a dog, you instantly
fight.
think of like, oh, a cat and a dog fighting like normal. No, it's like a wrestling
It's like WWE.
match.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it is.
fantastic.
It is great. It's like two wizards fighting each other.
Yeah,
yeah,
That's basically what we get. We get
Oh,
a showdown
my
in a
God.
junkyard.
Was that like the centerpiece of this movie?
I think
mean,
so.
that's
Yeah,
what you're
pretty
going to
much. Wow.
remember and tell people about. Is like there's this like 8-minute long.
Yeah.
It's so long.
It's like
Back and forth, throwdown, absolute throwdown.
the cat chokes the dog with a chain.
Yeah.
The cat swings on like it's
does-
just yeah.
It's like that fight scene in They Live, but a cat and dog doing it.
Yes,
Yeah,
basically,
yes.
It goes on for just as long as that scene
It
does.
sure felt like it. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this is just. I hadn't seen anything like. You know what it made me think of was in Dead Alive, that scene with the baby.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
Baby and-
playground.
yeah.
I'm like, I haven't seen anything this nuts since that. You know.
yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
But we'll get there, I think.
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning.
How we're gonna start at the beginning is beyond me.
It's tough. We start with an author who is writing his next novel, and so he's writing about a personal experience of his, and that is the rest of this movie.
Okay, so do you know who Wisely is?
His name is the actor is Waze Lee, something like that. I don't particularly
So there's
know much about the actors in this.
Well, no, it wasn't the actor; it was the actual. So this is I found out. Did you know about this?
I know. Well,
The
go ahead.
Wisely, I guess. In
Something.
Hong Kong, there is a series like 150 or some odd stories that were written like from the 1960s through the 70s about this character named Wisely. And I guess, yeah, he is some kind of like, I don't know if he's like the author, but he's always telling like in this, like, well, where do you get the inspiration for some of the stories you write? Well, the crazy thing happened to a friend of mine, and off you go. And he's like involved in the story. So this is, I think when you watch it, because even at the end, it's like, well, maybe you're going to find out about this in my next novel. It's talking to an audience, I think, that knows,
okay.
that Wisely is this famous character in a bunch of series of novels. I think,
he's like Benoit Blanc from the Knives Out movie. Like he would just end up in different ones.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So then I think probably there's been other movies that
think so.
character has been in, not from this director, but
Right.
just through, through Hong Kong cinema.
Right.
Probably.
He is a known character in Hong Kong cinema.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's okay. Well, so the author is saying that he his friend got involved in this crazy thing, and so I'm going to tell you all about it.
Right.
So yeah, how does this start?
So he starts like he's literally letting a novel, but he's telling the story of his friend who is trying to sleep and hears knocking on a ceiling at night, and he goes up to investigate, and he goes to the apartment and he finds a weird old man. He finds a woman and a cat, and just weird knocking that's been going on all night, and
it's like hammering. Yeah.
Constant hammering. We find out later what it is. But it continues on, and he wakes up the next morning, has another interaction with the man, and decides to investigate the apartment because apparently the old man and the cat and the woman are moving out. And he goes up there and he finds a travesty of an apartment. He finds newspapers everywhere, and he finds intestines on the floor. And so to the cops he goes.
And it turns out that one of his friends is a cop. This is Wang, right?
Wang, yep.
And they're also friends with Wesley. So it's like these three guys are friends, and so they all get like involved over at the apartment.
Yeah, so it's Lee, Wang, Wisely, and Paiso. Paiso is Wisely's girlfriend.
Okay.
So that's the four we saw eating crabs earlier, which now we know how to eat crabs, which apparently Holly knew about.
I did know about this,
You gotta push the meat out.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the easiest way to do it.
Easiest way to do it. Push that meat out.
Mm-hmm.
So the friends all come together at so that's Wisely's house, which is
Full of books and alcohol.
Yeah.
And like when we
So
say
much
full
alcohol.
of books, it is like a Ted Kaczynski cabin,
Yeah.
like stacked to the ceiling.
stacks.
Like you can't see
Yeah.
out the window. It's a hoarder situation. It's
Yeah.
not a
That's
collection.
But it's a very clean apartment. It's just massive stacks of
Yeah.
books.
Right. It's just like he lost shelf space. He has no walls anymore. It's just stacks
like
of
it's
books.
a swanky pad with like a pool and stuff. It's
yeah.
just filled with books.
It's a nice
Yeah.
place.
And he has a girlfriend
He does. Paiso.
who we meet after her tennis game.
She plays
Loves tennis.
Loves
Loves
tennis. Works very hard
Wears
at
a
it.
lot of white.
A lot of white. Sweats a lot.
Yeah, that's
It
where
might
I
be a
was like,
problem.
okay. Well, I mean, when that was happening, so like she comes over and sits on his lap as he's sitting out by the pool, and then there are these like close-ups of her body like dripping with, and I'm like, okay,
Not just her body. Crevices.
The
of her
music
body.
changes too.
Yeah.
The music is all like kind of spicy and vaguely pornish.
It's like
in this
bouncing
movie.
yeah, it's like all of a sudden we're
Yeah.
doing like a softcore erotic
Right.
movie.
Yeah, there's groping.
It's
And
like
then-
beating sweat. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah. And not in a good way. If
No,
beating sweat can be
it's
good,
not.
it's not good.
It's not sexy.
No.
Well, I guess that's why when you said he had done, erotic movies, I'm like, okay, that's the director of that, like, did that scene.
But also, in this scene, he's like sitting there reading the newspaper and he's eating breakfast, and his breakfast is lobster and champagne.
His breakfast looked delicious. I'm
I
just
was
this
like-
looks great.
This is amazing.
Lobster and champagne. He's sitting by a beautiful pool
Yeah.
with a beautiful sunset, a sunrise coming
Yeah,
out.
it's gorgeous. I'm in.
I want to be Wisely.
Lobster, so thick in the waters that it goes for like $1.
Amazing.
Apparently,
Probably.
they had a pile
Just
of them
have
and
it
they
for-
were
yeah.
eating them in his apartment.
So there's breaking news, I want to say, somewhere around this time on the television.
Yeah, because remember the cat. Did Wisely have an interaction for? Yeah, he had an interaction before he saw the breaking news, didn't he? So much happened in this movie.
That's what I'm trying to remember, if the scene at the museum took place before they all got together. I don't think it did. But did it?
It did.
That
Was that the
scene
breaking
entered
news?
at the weirdest part.
Yeah,
that was
so
the first
weird.
time I was very thrown off by what was happening in this
Yeah.
movie because we have no context and it's just a museum all of a sudden at night.
Yes, there is an acceleration of story at a certain point in this where he's just like, "It's the cat. I know it's the cat," and it's just like, "How do you know?"
I know
Yeah.
because
He's
I
telling
was,
everyone it's the cat, and there's no proof of this. He's like,
Yeah.
"What is this cat you keep talking about?"
well, more than that, he says, I think his dialogue was something to the effect of, like, I knew this cat was like from outer space, and and there's some kind of, and you're like, wait, what are you talking about? How do you know this?
Right,
Like, what?
because when Lee, the one who checked out the apartment, and he's friends with Wisely, he talks about the girl and the cat, and they saw him, and immediately Wisely goes to, "They're from outer space."
Yeah,
from outer space.
immediately.
Immediately, they must be.
Yeah. So we don't know if this is like something lost in translation. We did see a subtitled version of the movie, but it really was like they're just kind of throwing shit at you, and you're like, wait, what is happening here?
Yeah, there's a thread, but it's thin.
I am going to confess that many times during the movie, I had this same sensation where I was like, oh, wait, what's happening? And who's doing what and why?
Just, Colin, all you have to do is just shout that out loud, and I will guide you through
No,
it.
clearly, the way you were following this movie still astounds me.
I mean, I did read a short description of it, but like certain things are just like, yeah, they're aliens now, and we go on from there.
It is nothing is that plainly stated in the
No.
movie,
No,
No.
probably a very. It could be a confusing film to follow. Yes.
though. Yes.
There was a scene
Twas.
where the cat returns to its owner, and we see a replay of the scene in the junkyard, the fight between the cat and the dog, which we have just seen. Like,
Yes.
the fight happens, the
Yep.
cat goes home, goes to its owner, and we see a replay. And I'm like, what in the fuck are we doing? We're seeing, is this the cat thinking about it? Sean's like, no. This is the cat explaining what just happened to his owners. And I'm like,
How do you
That
glean
makes
from what
sense.
is given to us? Like,
I go by like, who was the last person to speak before the flashback? It was the cat. So it's the cat explaining to them, I think telepathically, I don't know. The point being that we are dealing with aliens here.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I mean, he thinks they're from outer space. We soon learn that they are. If nothing else, it is explained to him directly. Because he's got his friend Wang from the police. They're following leads. They end up finding out, or we end up with the girl and the cat, who's the general is his name.
Yeah, the general.
Amazing.
Okay.
And the girl's, who she calls her knight, Errol, who is like their protector.
This is the old guy in the apartment at the beginning.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
actually her knight.
Yes. And so they are after octagons.
Okay, so this was explained to us in a way that I thought was just fantastic. Where
Okay.
we're trying to figure out, I guess, like, you know, there's intestines in the apartment.
Yes.
The police come over and they're like, well, they weren't human intestines. They're cat intestines,
Yeah.
so it's not really a big deal. And you're like, okay, but
Probably still a big deal.
Yeah,
Wisely
probably still a
is
big
still like, I don't know, there's something hinky going on here. So he goes over to the apartment and then somebody's coming home and he hides in
Yes.
the window, which, as you do with the sunlight behind you, the moonlight behind you.
Yep.
And the woman comes in with the cat and she explains, like, in order for us to get home to our planet, we're going to have to, get the power of the octagons and
Yep.
whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, that's the plot of the movie.
Right.
We're going to have to, thank God we were here for that moment.
Yeah, so we get a nice little drop. We're just like, okay, at least this is going to
Yeah.
maybe lead us somewhere. But then the general senses someone is in the apartment behind a very bright curtain. Like the cuts between certain shots, one person's in a very dark room, one person is in a very brightly lit room, and they are in the same room technically.
Yeah,
with
so,
this movie.
but again, you say this guy has worked for years, right, in the Hong Kong film industry.
Yeah.
But there is some of this where you're like, is it technically challenged? I mean, some of it is, but some of it is like strikingly well done.
It's weird, kind of the juxtaposition of like, this doesn't seem like very maybe not competent filmmaking, but at least like it doesn't feel like there's a budget behind it where we can do this right. But then we get to certain other scenes where it's just like, there's a lot of budget behind this because we
Yeah.
have giant electric mushrooms
Yeah.
within this movie.
lots
Stay
of
tuned,
practical
listener.
effects that
Yeah.
seem expensive.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's the thing that, I kind of want to let the folks at home know, if they start this movie and they watch like 15 minutes of it, it does kind of feel like a really low budget Asian movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
will.
then all of a sudden you're like, oh, they actually do have a budget on this thing.
All of a sudden
and it
you are
kind of comes out of
surprised.
nowhere and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think what it is I wonder if the director he put all of his focus on those big set piece moments.
Yep.
And all the filler things, he's just like, well, let's just do it real quick.
Right.
I don't think he put any
Yeah, we'll
focus
just
on
shoot in
it.
an apartment,
Yeah. But then, like, when it was a big scene, he actually put thought into it.
Right. They may have even done all that shit first and be like, all right, what do we
It
have
could
left
be.
to film the connective scenes of all of this?
Well, the
So-
first big scene takes place in because now we know that the aliens, right, are looking for the octagons,
Yep.
and it's some historical relic, a thing,
It's a meteorite.
a meteorite
It's a
that's been
meteorite.
on Earth for thousands of years,
Yes.
right, and it's in a museum,
Mhm.
and so we see the museum and the guards who are guarding it, and then what crazy fucking thing happens?
Oh, we cut
Yep,
away to a
yep.
scene in a sewer where a pile of refried beans
Oh my
Oh,
God.
God.
It's so
Decided-
gross.
to inject itself into the body of a dead homeless man. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the Blob.
it
It
is
is
yeah,
like
we
the
get-
like the 80s Blob,
Yeah,
especially
we-
grabs onto the homeless guy.
yeah, we get
and,
very blob at this
Yeah.
point.
Mhm.
And so it infiltrates his body, activates him, and he starts walking to the sewer. And then we cut away from that.
And that footage did look like beans being pulled through a vacuum, put in reverse.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
it was.
It really did. It was really,
Yeah,
it just-
it's really
just-
gross.
gross.
Even
Yeah.
when it was
Real
coming
gross.
out of his mouth, it was
Yeah,
like, okay,
really
it's just a
gross.
reverse
Yeah.
shot, but it was,
Yep.
Yep.
But real gross, but real effective.
Yeah.
And then we go back to the museum where we see one of the octagons under glass, and then there's an infiltration.
the homeless guy shows up at the window.
Well, we get first of all we see like Cat Hand come up and activate something. We get Cat Hands
Yeah,
in this movie.
the paws on sticks
Paws
that
on
we
sticks.
love. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love paws on sticks,
Yeah.
but we get the paw comes up, activates the glass, and it's some magical power where it evaporates the glass, and the cat jumps in. He's like, "All right, I've got the octagon."
Yeah.
And then and the girl and Errol the knight are there as well. they disable a guard by arrow comes down like a fucking bat and just swoops him up.
Because I mean, why?
Why not?
Why not? He just swoops in off the
He's
ceiling.
literally getting the jump on him.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just what he does.
That is something we have lost to special visual effects, like digital effects. No more cat paws on sticks. It's going to be all CGI now. That's like they're in a landfill somewhere. All the cat paws on sticks.
All
that
the
used to be in
charm is
Hollywood.
gone.
Yep.
All
But
the
they
charm is
are
gone.
like they're trying to convey that this is like a thinking cat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it
He's
has
sentient. Yeah.
it reaches for stuff that's just out of reach, and
It's flipping switches.
Yeah, this cat flips switches.
It's wonderful. So they get the octagon, but then again, the homeless guy shows up at the window and his eyes start falling out.
His eyes
He's
do
like,
the large Marge from Pee-wee's
Yeah.
Playhouse. They like come right out, and they do that thing where they come really far forward before they drop down.
Yeah. It's very-
it always gets me, but I love it.
Very disturbing, but very, very fun.
Yeah.
And then he crashes through the window, and then this is where we get our electric mushroom. A big, just a big blob alien type thing, the Star Killer, as the characters call it in this movie, who is hunting
it
them.
looked like it had
It's got little tentacles.
but the tentacles like little arms, or was it like Sarlacc teeth, or what the?
something.
But it's a big practical. I mean, this is like the Blob or From Beyond or something.
Yeah.
They're pushing all this goo into the and it's smacking people and absorbing them and setting other people on fire, I think,
and just melting them, dissolving them. It's also got that electricity, like red electricity running through it and everything. Those are the optical effects, which look really good and add a lot to it.
Yeah.
And he takes out security guards, melts them, throws them across the room, holds up in the corner of the thing, and he's glowing, and there's gas coming out of it. And it's just like, it's horrifying. This is the beast that is hunting down our friendly aliens at this point. Because there's big aliens who oppress the little aliens, and he's invaded their planet. We learn later. It's like he goes around like he's going to just invade planets and eat people, and then move on to the next planet. And so he is taken up on their planet, and he's trying to kill them, eat them. I don't know.
Okay,
That's it.
he's on Earth.
Maybe
now,
the general is important.
Maybe.
I think he's an actual general.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think
That's
he's
what
a
I
general
thought.
in
Yeah,
an
he's-
army.
yeah.
And he is important.
Yeah.
He's like one of the only people who knows how to kill the Star Killer, I think.
Yes.
And so they fled to get away from that, and now they're trying to find a way to kill it and get back to their star, their planet.
There you go. And us hapless humans are caught in the mix, as we always are. So, okay.
So then,
Yeah.
we
No,
get to,
yeah.
well, we get to the next morning, and then this is where like cops are in the museum now, kind of investigating all the stuff that's going on. They see the burnt remains of the alien that was there. They find one cat hair, and so this confirms Wisely's suspicion that this is all the cat, and we must follow the cat.
There's a romantic interlude involving the girl, the star girl, and the cat
Is there?
on the roof, where she
She does.
Oh,
Is it
she floats.
I don't know if it's romantic.
It's not
but
romantic. She's just playing.
They're just having fun. They're just
It's
like
playful.
right because
Yeah.
they're not. Who knows what their actual forms are on their home planet? They're just having fun with their physical forms on this planet. They're like, look, I'm a human being, but I can fly. And it's an extended scene where she's like jumping off an antenna and flying around. And then the cat tries to fly up to her, but ends up just clinging to a pole and then jumping down.
And it's very clearly someone just holding the cat at the bottom of the
the way
frame.
it's shot. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah, because you only see about to its top of its shoulder up
Yeah.
in the frame. Yeah,
So they're having fun flying around with each other. They're having
It's just playful.
a light moment between the two before shit goes down later.
But would you be pissed if you didn't get the human form in this situation? Like, who decides who gets what? It's like, you know,
No,
how
I think the
Third
cat-
Rock from the Sun
Third
made
Rock
like
from
a
the
whole
Sun, yeah.
series
Yeah.
about that, who gets what form.
Right,
but
yeah.
like,
The most intelligent one was the child.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The general ends up as a cat.
Yeah,
I
it's
think I'll bet he chose that form.
yeah, what? No, I don't know. I think I'd want more autonomy if I was hiding out on another planet than being a cat. You know?
You'd think so? Maybe
Yeah.
a better way to communicate and get around.
Yeah,
better
yeah,
to
exactly.
But I mean, maybe it's easier to get their job done if he can infiltrate as a cat. He's smaller. He can get through places more. He gets in, unlocks the door to let the humans in.
Yeah. Maybe this is covered in the novel.
Maybe
Yeah, all
it is
this
based
stuff.
on this is all based on a book called The Old Cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
yeah.
there's two threads that are basically happening here, if I remember correctly, right?
Go for
there's,
it. I wanna hear this.
Well, there's the police, right, are following leads to try and figure out who stole the octagon.
Yes.
Right? So that means Wang is leading up this investigation.
Yes.
And his investigation takes him to
The apartment.
the apartment with a bunch of other cops where they are attacked by the Star Killer,
Yes. The electric fungus is back again.
and it wipes them all out. It dissolves guys. It blasts Wang it rips his torso off. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. His arms get ripped out. Like everyone gets sucked into things and they get dissolved and they get thrown all over the place. And then, Wang gets his arms ripped off. And then, as he's leaning against the wall, armless, a big tentacle comes down and crawls into his mouth like the Hidden.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we're like, oh boy, he's possessed now, and all of his cops are. So they're
Right. We cut back to all the cops are back there in suits and ties again, and they're just like robotic at this point, and they all like turn and leave, and just like, they're aliens now. You guys didn't get this? Come on.
No.
Well, it was because the voiceover, like, I guess the voiceover was wisely going like, and we lost my friend Wang, and then we see Wang with the other cops, and we're like, now how does Wesley know? Because later he doesn't know, and
but
then
it's the
like,
author writing after
retelling the
fact.
story. Yeah.
and so he's confirming for the audience that Wang's dead, even though we saw Wang get obliterated, and we're like, Wang is dead.
Wang is dead, but Wang is back.
Yeah.
Now there's aliens wandering around.
So,
Yeah.
the second thread involves, I think it's Wisely trying to track down the girl and the cat, and so he goes to see a dog.
The dog guy.
Yeah.
The local dog guy, you know.
Right. The infamous local dog guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is the guy living next door to me in the swamp. This is my best friend / next door neighbor here.
There you
Yes.
go, right? Yeah, Michaela just wanders over going, dog.
If I had the money, I would have this many for sure.
Yes.
How many does he have?
At least 8. I think there was a lot.
And probably more that we didn't see because he lives in like in a big house and with plenty of space to roam.
Well, and the one we end up like getting to know was hanging out in a shed.
He had his own house.
Yeah.
Right. You'll find he's special.
Yeah.
His head bursts through a door and it's like,
And by head, you mean puppet. His puppet.
His
puppet head. Because there is a real dog in this movie, but the puppet head. I was kind of hoping when we saw the puppet head, it would just be a puppet for the whole movie. But
like it's too like we need a dog that's so special that no dog exists. We have to make a puppet.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it is kind of. I guess the two upcoming scenes, this one and the next one, are kind of mirrors of each other. It's like the good guys are going to get like the special detective weapon that they need in order to track down and fight this cat. So they ask this guy, this dog owner, like, okay, let's look at your dog. So I got this one, I got that one. But what you really need is this, like, what is it?
It's a Neapolitan Mastiff, but it's like, I wanted more of the, like, give me all the stats of all the other dogs, too. You know, be like, this one's great at this, and this one's trained to do this.
Good.
Like the scene that we got with the guns. But with dogs.
But with the dogs, it would have been funny.
I wouldn't have minded, like, a graphical rundown.
Yeah, exactly. But they do pick the most, like, junkyard-looking dog.
They do.
I do like that he has his own little rice paper house, too. I love that, but... I love that though. It's like this is the way in for the fight that's going to happen later, right? Like we're getting all the stats on the opponent and everything.
But they do like set it up like, I mean, this dog is now part of the crew. I guess you lost one guy, so now you have the dog.
It's like the Ocean's movies. They got to assemble the crew, you know.
And the bad guys, the alien possessed cops, they go to an arms dealer.
Yes.
Where they're looking for like all the weapons in the world.
Yep.
Yes.
Which I think some of that.
So we get a John Woo action scene.
It's funny. I mean, the guy's like, well, I got this one, you know, and they're like, doesn't fire enough bullets. And then he like whips out an AK-47, like out of his pajama robe.
Too few bullets and too heavy. What else you got? It's like, I've got the, and we get gun porn at this point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of good, the things we like. There's a lot of good loading and unloading, cocking of guns and everything.
There's a lot of it.
The sound design is very good.
It's the gun erotica.
It really is. Yeah. This guy's like, I know erotica, women or guns, either one. I'll figure it out.
Look at the oiled barrel on that thing. So
and also look at this gun.
So anyway, that scene ends with a, like you said, a John Woo action.
It really is a wonderful shootout because they do such. It's in like a metal shed at this point, and so they do the thing that's always very fun is like when people get shot or when shots go through the building. the bullet holes and the sun rays come through,
Yeah, love
which is
that.
just nice because
Yeah.
he grabs a dude, puts the gun up to his chest, and then shoots the other people through him.
Yeah.
It's
which is
great.
always fun.
Yeah.
And then when we get the bullet holes and the sun coming through, it's just very fun. A lot of slow motion gun action in this. Really, just good action. Just a good scene. And he
'Cause that's
blows
right.
everyone away. Puts a grenade in a dude's
Yeah.
mouth and gone.
Yeah, I haven't seen that since. Did we watch? We didn't watch Wanted Dead or Alive on the show. Did we? I think that's the first time I ever
don't
saw
think
like
so.
the grenade in the mouth, pull the pin,
Yeah.
the head explodes. So it's basically setting up. I think that like Wesley is kind of not Wesley.
Wisely.
Sorry, Wang is kind of a. Like he's like the Terminator then.
Yes.
Because I mean, I guess through that scene, I was thinking of the the gun store scene in the Terminator.
Right.
Because of course he's yeah, like, give me all the guns and then I'm going to shoot you with them.
Yep.
And so he's now the human version of the Star Killer,
Yep.
and he's going after the cat. So, you've got, and I suppose at this point, we know as the audience that the aliens, the girl, the old guy, the knight, and the cat are good aliens,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
But I don't think the characters do at this point.
Not yet.
They still think they're evil aliens.
Right, because they're still trying to hunt them down with the dog. So they're just trying to figure out what.
Because we're gearing up for the big scene.
Yes, for a big scene. So yeah, they still think evil is afoot everywhere, and they're just trying to track it down and figure out what's going on. So they don't know that there is good aliens
Well,
or that
how
there are
do
aliens.
you lay a trap to catch these aliens?
You find another octagon.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So another meteorite piece is in some other museum under glass. And so they have found it and they are staking it out. They have security on it. They've got cameras. They've got the dog waiting there with them, who's just kind of like over it. It's just like, everyone's
I totally
just
related to the one guy that was like, well, do you want to order snacks? Or
It's like, yeah, we could eat, right? Like, nothing's happening. But then,
that's my guy.
but then on camera, and then we just see a cat jump into frame on the security camera at the octagon, and it's like, oh shit, it's going down now.
I
No.
like the way that the cat is the one. You got two
cat is great.
humans that could, but the cat goes in.
Again, this is why I'm saying that he chose this because he knew the mission. He knew he'd have to infiltrate places, and then he would be more likely to get into them as a cat.
Yep. Because I suppose if they weren't wise to him being a cat, it'd be like, well, there's a cat in there. That's,
Right.
harmless.
Sure,
Yeah.
exactly. A human, we have to stop them. A cat was just like, well, there's a cat in there. What do we do? Well, maybe it'll leave.
This cat is going to boost this object, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is
Oh, yeah.
hilarious.
He does. He like grabs it and he's running. Yeah.
And he's running out. But what he doesn't count on is they've got the dog.
Right. So they see the cat grab it, and then all the people and the dog run up to the door, and then they open it, and the cat's there, the dog's there, and slow motion ensues as the cat jumps through one way, in through the air, above everyone. The dog from the back jumps through in the same way, and they are going to meet in midair and collide, and then they collide. They jump off, and the cat's away with the thing and jumping over railings, and the dog's jumping up going, oh, what the fuck? I've never seen this before. And then the dog's after the cat, and there's a chase through the museum, and then they get out, and the cat is off, and they end up at a junkyard. And we get the ultimate dog-cat showdown that can't be topped.
No, this
It's
was
like
crazy.
Spectacular.
I can't. Dear
Now,
brother, we
I
can't
don't think-
get across how crazy this is.
I don't think they had all the footage that they needed, because there was a lot of times I was like, okay,
This
I'm
took-
not entirely sure what's happening.
Yeah.
This took months.
It had to have.
Yeah.
Months to accomplish. One guy was fired because he wasn't exactly being the nicest to the animals.
Yeah.
So I don't think any cats actually got slammed in a trunk.
Okay.
I'm sure they were holding a tail
Mm-hmm.
with an
Okay.
open trunk and not letting the cat go.
And then
Sure.
let it
You
go,
know,
yeah.
Okay.
right? And so the
okay.
cat was probably, like, hey, get the fuck off me.
Yeah.
So I'm
I mean,
sure
they're
those
always
things
like
happen.
that.
That's
Right.
true.
That's very true.
It's their natural
right.
state.
Yeah.
But I don't,
Yeah.
I mean, and everyone who owns a cat has at one point grabbed their tail and not let them go.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
We all do
It
that.
has happened. But he got fired for just, like, not being nice. They didn't say
Yeah.
anything else really happened to them, but it's just like, we can do this better.
There is a lot of puppets.
There's a lot of puppets in this
scene,
one.
though.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of puppets. in this
especially
one.
when they're doing human wrestling moves. Like
It's amazing.
they
Well, there's
move in
also,
way
like-
cats and dogs cannot move.
Like stop motion,
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah, there is, yeah.
I mean, it was employing like everything
Yeah.
Everything.
into this, because I mean,
We
We
were
say
just
it's
short
crazy,
of the cat
but-
going,
Oh yeah.
and Sean's doing like shadow boxing there, but I mean that's kind of how it plays, right? It plays like the cats or the cat and dog are actually like hitting each other.
The cat swings on like a rope to kick him. Like
it is very
they're like throwing each other into different things.
Right, setting traps, jumping out of the way so people run into stuff. He grabs him by the collar and flips him backwards.
It's Peter and the chicken from Family Guy. It is. That's exactly what it is.
Right, it is that fight, and it goes on for that long.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh Jesus. So they get beat, jumping on backs.
They're using using the like the environment too, because there's several times when the cat's like trying to reach for like a lever, you know,
and we're not joking, folks. Just camera shot, cat paw reaches in, turns on water.
A lever.
I think turns on a fire extinguisher. At one point, like
because the steam comes out at one point, and like the dog's holding it, so it's like the cat.
Yeah, the cat's turning valves. Like
being very dexterous and everything. Yeah, it is the they live fight.
It is.
Yeah, he's slamming the dog's head into the grill of the car at one point.
He was just like, I wouldn't have been surprised. And it's basically that.
He jumps on the back of the dog at one point, which, and sinks his teeth in, and the dog's like freaking out because he got this cat on his back. Eventually, the cat, sprays the water.
You're right.
And then I think he's looking for, is he trying to turn power on to like
he flips on like a generator, and he's like hanging out, and the dog runs towards him, and he jumps out of the way, and the dog runs through a fence and just gets electrocuted. And we're like, oh shit. Dog's dead. Dog's not dead.
Just stunned.
Just stunned. And I think the fight ensues for a little bit after
then it keeps going.
Yeah, it keeps going.
I thought that was it.
I thought it was too.
Like, I mean, we saw the
electrocuted big time.
Skeleton through his skin. And but no, it still keeps going.
It still keeps going. Eventually, I think Wisely shows up. The cat gets stunned somehow, I think, and he's able to grab him.
He does. I think the cat it strangles the dog for a little bit, but it also delivers not the death blow, but something comparable where it slices with.
There's a blood. Yeah, he gets and there's a blood spurt and everything.
Yeah, and the dog is like ugh, and then that's I think when Wisely shows up at the end of this and. I think the cat is stunned, right? Because he throws him in the trunk of a car.
Right. And looks away for 2 seconds, and the cat's not there, and then jumps into his face, and he's just like, ah! And then he slams the trunk down. On
the cat's tail.
Right. And the cat chews his tail off and then runs away.
Yeah.
So we have part of a cat tail that is left behind.
A clue. You might say. Because
we'll go to the medical examiners.
Well, they don't take, like, not to a vet. You go to, like, the professor of something at a university.
Right.
Right?
Right, because they're getting the dog checked out, who is alive and will make it.
The dog owner is very happy about this.
Yes.
That the dog's going to live.
Very happy. But while he's there, he does have them examine the cattail. And it comes back. There's just like, here's your cattail back. This cat has been dead for scores of years.
This makes no sense. I'm sorry. Like this is a bridge too far for me.
So okay. This is
you're telling me in 1992 they have this data to know that this tail, because they said scores of years ago.
Scores of years.
So
1,000 years maybe.
Yeah.
Like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Cat.
So you're telling me they have thousands of years of documented history of like what genealogy of cats to
well, they
match
can
this?
radiocarbonating.
I think they can check the cells and be like, those cells are not alive.
Yeah. I think they're dead.
Yeah, but they didn't say it's from a dead cat. They said it's from a cat from scores of years ago.
What does scores mean?
20. A score is 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so scores of years ago.
Okay.
So they're giving significant time here. And they're saying, this belonged to a cat from a couple hundred years ago. How the fuck do they know that?
When did we clone the sheep?
So
that was like, this is 1992, and they're saying this tail belongs to a but they're saying this tail belongs to a cat that we know existed a long time ago.
I'm not as concerned considering what I just saw.
Yeah, I mean, it is a nitpick in this movie, yes, but
I understand what you're saying.
But it is a big part of the plot on this.
If I'm gonna be on board for the rest of this movie, I have to be on board with that.
Yeah, I get it.
So I mean, it tracks, I guess, that the aliens take possession of human, earthly life forms, right?
Yes.
But now, I guess, are we saying that these aliens have been on Earth for a very long time?
It's possible.
Because I guess that's what I got out of it. It's like the cat's been dead for scores of years. It's like that means that was when it was reanimated. You know, it hasn't decayed. So they're just kind of
like they've been there for maybe over 20 something
for a while
looking for this stuff.
And then I'm like, again, help me, Sean. What is their mission on Earth? What the hell are they doing here?
Well, I mean, again, they left their planet because this Star Killer had. I think what they say in the movie is there was an evil presence on their planet, and so they had to flee.
It seemed like there was a scene where the old guy was going to explain what happened.
Probably.
And then Wisely is like, well, the old man was talking. I went into telling his story. I went down to the car and got my... And you're like, what? That was the big
feel like that was
flashback scene with, all the special effects on the planet, and you got to see...
The old guy's just like, let me tell you my story. And then we cut away. It's like, wait, I need my tape recorder. And then just other shit happened. No, they fled their planet because it was invaded by this evil force. They ended up on Earth. They knew because they knew the meteorite was there, and they knew the meteorite was A, their way to get back home, and B, a way to kill the Star Killer. They knew the meteorite would help
the
them
meteorite
kill.
must be from their planet or something, right? This is conjecture on our part because I'm not sure this is mentioned
it's not
in the
explained.
movie.
No, not at all. But I think they knew it could kill the Star Killer, and that's why they came to the planet, and that's what they're looking for.
Okay.
Okay.
So now we've got the tail of the cat is in the possession of Wisely.
Yep.
Right. And
the cat wants it back. God damn it!
Yes, he does.
Oh, that's right. Okay, because I was going to say, how do we get Wisely and the girl and the knight together? And it's because the cat comes
right because Wisely and his girlfriend are just hanging out beneath a cat picture in their apartment.
A nice one.
It is nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very beautiful. And he's got the cattail in the bag, and he's like taunting her with it. He's like, I had this cattail checked out. She's like, oh, and he throws it at her, and they're being goofy and all this shit. And then the fucking cat just jumps into the middle of everything.
Cat's hanging out on the ceiling.
On the ceiling, that's right.
Yeah.
He looks up, and the cat's just like, meow.
There's like a creek outside. She's like, that cat wouldn't come here, would he? He's like, oh no. And then
he's like,
up.
impossible. And it's on the fucking ceiling looking at him.
Jumps down and tries to tear into the bag.
It does. Go straight for the bag. Just tear it up. It's like, I want my fucking tail back.
And then I think that's when the girl, Star Girl,
shows up,
and the night guy
and Errol show up. Yep, they're back.
And so now we get all the exposition, I guess, that we've been wanting from this movie. Well, not all of it that we wanted, but this is all the stuff that Sean's been relaying comes in this scene.
Yeah, basically.
Yes. We're good aliens.
Right.
And we need to get these special objects so we can get back to our planet.
Yes, basically. And the cat's like, I'd also like my tail back. Could you reattach that, please? Which they do. There's a magical light scene.
They're like, how are you going to do that? And she's like, oh, he can do it himself.
This cat is all powerful. He is the general.
Wait, is this a scene where his white light glow that glues his tail back on results in a bunch of starbursts or whatever?
No, that's later when they get to the observatory.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought there was some of it here too. All right, so I think so now a collective unit. They're going to Wisely is going to help the aliens with their objective.
Yep.
And so then they go to the observatory.
No, the bad guy shows up
at their house.
Oh,
yeah.
He terminators the house.
Yeah, this is like the big action
with the fire.
Yeah. So big set piece action happens here because Wesley shows up. Now I'm sitting there going like, now, do they know that or Wang? Do they know that Wang is dead at this point?
No, because the girlfriend is like, oh, it's Wang.
After he's like unloading on them with the Uzis or whatever.
Right. She's like, why Wang?
So there's a massive, Wang has arrived with
every gun. Because we get a load up scene just before this where he's putting on every gun,
every single one. Yeah,
because he's cliffside. It's like he's rowed in from the ocean. Yeah, he's on the cliffside.
He scales the cliff,
right? And he's gonna fucking scale the cliff with a whatchamacallit?
The grappling,
a grappling hook. Yeah. But before that, he loads every gun and puts them all over his shoulders. To get ready to go up there, and he grapples up, which we revealed that Colin has always wanted to do this.
It does look fun, but it looks really hard.
It looks fun, really hard. The only way we're going to do this is Batman 1960 style. That's the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy to do for you, Colin. If it will,
I can do that.
If it will achieve something for you.
You know how there's rock climbing gyms? Can I just go in and grapple up the rock climbing wall? Does it work the opposite way?
But you have to be able to actually.
Yeah.
and
That's
throw
what
them.
Colin wants to do.
Yeah.
Is that the part you want to
No,
do?
I
That's
think I
the,
wanna
he
do
wants to be able to hook it up there and be like, I can do this.
That's the part you want to do.
I understand.
But that's what I'm saying. Can you go to that facility and be like, I just want to
wonder.
practice my grappling?
Somewhere, right?
Yeah, like, you know.
I'm going to buy you a grappling hook for Christmas,
Yeah.
Colin.
There you go.
I
Just
feel
a
like
rope
there's
and a hook.
probably
Dream will come
I feel like
true.
there's probably places around town that we could just do it.
I know.
Probably.
Right?
If there's axe throwing bars, there's going to be a grappling hangout, right? You know?
Yes.
It's
I agree.
for when it goes bad, you're like, whoops. And, you know,
If nothing else, we have the potential to tap into a market here.
Yeah, yeah.
The grappling hook market.
what would you call it?
Ooh.
For another day. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we'll think about that one.
so
Instead
yeah,
of like an escape room, it's like a ninja room.
Yeah.
ninja room.
You can do all the ninja stuff.
Or it's an escape room, but you just said the only way to escape is by fucking grapple hook out of here.
Grapple your shit out of here. Oh my god, the James Bond fighting games like Nightfire and Goldeneye, I always liked if you really wanted to fuck with people, you put grapples only on, and it's like, guess what? We're grappling all over until somebody dies. That's it, you know.
So he grapples up to the side of the building and he goes all Terminator on them with every gun.
They fight back with Molotov cocktails
do because
with the
he
extensive collection of vodka
has
that he has.
all the vodka
Yeah.
But okay,
in
he,
Hong Kong.
but
Yeah.
he brags about how flammable it is.
He
Dude,
doesn't.
that means it's cheap. Like,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's not good. You
You're
don't
right.
want it to be that flammable.
Yeah.
Like
And
that's
so
basically
much.
rubbing alcohol at that point. Like,
But he's got like bottles and
It's like
bottles
cool.
and bottles. Like he
Yeah.
was really leaning into that alcoholic writer
Yeah,
trope
yeah.
For sure.
at this point. It's like books everywhere, alcohol everywhere. I'm a writer. I kind of like it, but
Flings all the Stoli at him. and
all
sets
it
him
is
on fire.
Stoli, isn't it? Yeah, it is Stoli. It is Stoli. Yeah, just constantly flinging them. He like
Pool's on fire.
Pulls on fire.
yeah.
Wang's shooting up everything with every gun he's got. They throw it's like a gas can at him. He super kicks
it's a
that back
propane
into him. Yeah,
tank,
propane
yeah.
tank. He shotguns that. There's another explosion. It's another great action scene. All the while he's being like burnt up and his skin's kind of coming off and everything.
But for some reason, the knight Errol has to douse himself in vodka, light himself on fire, and tackle
Yeah.
Wang into the pool.
He could have like not lit himself on
I was like,
fire.
I know.
it was a completely fruitless
It really
event.
was.
Because if you notice, I say it tackles him into the
Into a
pool.
Into the pool, yeah.
It kills Errol.
Killing
Yeah.
Errol, who's also an alien, but apparently not
Completely useless.
Yeah, so there's
So he
that.
sacrifices
It's
himself
a noble
for the greater
sacrifice.
For no reason.
for no reason. Well, we're not. I mean, I don't remember. Do we see Wang getting back? Yeah, we do. He climbs back out of the pool after that.
He
doesn't
does. They leave. He climbs back out of the pool, and that's the last we see of him for a little bit.
Yeah.
Is this?
They go to the observatory. I
Yeah.
think.
This is where they go to the observatory.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because they go to the observatory because they're still looking for their star. They bring the octagon with them. They set it in front of the telescope. She finds her star. She's like, "Oh, I can see my star."
And somehow that means that she's communicated with them.
Well,
The Star
she has
Trek-
brought the octagon
Yeah.
to a place where it feels like optimal.
Okay.
Sending signals to her home planet.
There's a
where
signal
they can-
being sent through a telescope.
That's what they said.
Okay.
We have no proof
with
of
it-
this. There's no visual proof.
Well-
That's what she said.
They do make contact because that thing, the star, shoots a laser through
Yep.
space and through the telescope.
Yeah.
Yep.
And blasts the octagon, which then
Like
is
ignites the octagon.
Right. This is
Yeah.
where we get the like little particles, fireflies type
Yeah.
scene, which I liked. Like this
Yeah.
is I like this
I'm into it.
effect.
I'm into
looked
it.
cool.
Yeah.
I like the this movie surprises you in its effect use. So you're just like, oh, that's kind of a nice way to represent what is going on.
what's
in this
going
world.
on.
These
I like this
Very good question.
exasperated sighs that
Yeah.
Sean's been having through this entire episode. Now I got to explain this.
right. Yeah, exactly. A little tougher. But there's all these particles, but these particles have the ability. I don't know why right here it doesn't, but these particles have the ability to dissolve the aliens' human bodies and take their, I'm going to say spirits because that's, I'm human.
Their life force.
Their light, yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
That take their life force and send it back to the star. Why it doesn't
Well,
happen?
they elect not to do it there because they're like the Star
Well, oh,
Killer
right.
Yeah.
is still on Earth, and
gotta
so we
defeat
have
him
to
first.
defeat him.
So they
Yeah.
could, those particles that show up are what could, because we see them later, are what could dissolve their bodies and take them back there. But they, like you said, decide not to because they have to kill the Star Killer.
But
They can't-
fortunately, these particles have now made the cat the most powerful being in the universe.
Yes, says them. Like it is irradiated the
Thank
cat's
God.
body, and he is now the ultimate weapon.
Thank
This
God.
cat is the general is the ultimate weapon now.
So they're like, okay, we have to find the Star Killer, and that means we're going to go to
A building.
the tallest building in Hong Kong.
Because Colin was questioning at this point, I had no answer for him.
There
But
was lots of shots of people running upstairs
There
for a
were.
long time.
Yeah,
There
but we
were,
ended
but we
up
saw-
like in a homeless shelter or something. I'm like, where
the
are
way
they?
I
And why
put
are
it
they
is,
here?
especially based on the stairwell, I figured they had to get to the tallest building where they were in order for the best chance to get back to the star.
I mean,
But they're trying
it's
to
a
find
good
the Star
assumption.
Killer.
It's better than anything I've got.
It's better than nothing, and we have nothing. So,
Okay.
but they're there, and
The ploy works because the Star Killer shows up.
Yeah,
boy, does he.
and we get the scene from Ghostbusters 2 at the museum.
Right,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's just ooze coming in through the vents, and there's big
Covering the
tentacles
building.
coming
Oh,
through.
that's right. It was hanging out in the vents there.
It was.
So
It
that
was
was
like
they
there.
found it. So let me just get
They
this
went looking.
straight.
Okay, I think because the cat became the ultimate weapon,
Yep.
he knew where the Star Killer was, and that's why they went there.
Okay, and then
Because
there's
she did say that like she had an idea of where it was.
Right. Why it's this place, we don't know.
okay,
We
and
don't know.
there's goo dripping from the vents of the air ducts, and so they're like, whoa.
Why am I drippings with?
And that was when all of a sudden the star thing like explodes out of the and coats everybody and starts melting bodies.
sets people on fire
Yeah.
and that I think this is where we see the face.
Yeah.
Like it takes on
Yeah,
a human
the
which is the
face.
most disturbing part of
Yeah.
this.
It's
'Cause, like,
Was that
terrifying.
Wang's face like underneath?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
white, like
Yeah.
under all this goo. Like he's wearing the goo like a helmet or something.
And so there is that
Scary.
the human representation played by the actor Wang, but then there's also the stand-in version, which is more disturbing.
Yeah.
Because it's just that white face
It's
that's
like that
going
kabuki.
through,
Googly eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh, it's the most
It's-
disturbing. It's a white face on this alien body. It's the most disturbing thing.
Yeah.
It's ugh.
This is where like the effects crew goes all out. Like
Nuts.
you think they've been going all out throughout the movie. But this is, I mean, it's like there's the thing,
There's the thing, there's the blob. There's
Yeah.
just every
society and
yeah.
from beyond. I mean,
Yeah.
just
all of
every
that combined
gooey,
into
like,
this.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's that. Again, people are setting fire, dissolve. This thing is going nuts. They have to try and escape. They go up the stairwell. Like I told Colin, like, if any of you have ever played Resident Evil, this is the ending of every Resident Evil game ever, where the giant monster is finally
the fleshy thing
Yep.
is just exploding into every
Yep.
because it destroys the stairwell. They got
coming
to
through
jump
walls,
over it at some
destroying the
point.
stairwell. Wisely's got to jump over a thing, over a gap. He's got to help her up. The cat is there somewhere.
Yeah.
Ultimately, but end up
there.
making their way to the roof. Once they get to the roof, the Star Killer becomes so huge and surrounds the building, and the face is so big that it's just like it's the ultimate end for our good characters.
Yeah, it's like pouring out of the ground floor and creeping up the walls,
Right.
like
Like we said,
Ghostbusters 2.
where it's just
It's just
enveloping this.
engulfing the entire museum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, in
So,
a
like-
Resident Evil game, you would have to shoot the yellow orbs or something.
Right, yeah,
that
or
keep
like
on,
there'd be many
the
eyes you'd have to
pustules.
shoot before
Yeah.
you'd have to shoot the main face.
But that's what it feels like.
it is. It really is. Yeah.
Except they're not shooting
No.
in this one.
No. I think they're ready for their end at this point until the general.
Oh.
The general, I think, bites down on the octagon, and because he is the ultimate weapon, flies.
Yeah.
Into the mouth.
He becomes nuclear Godzilla at this
Yes,
point.
he does.
Yes.
He is nuclear Godzilla at this point. Flies into the mouth of the Star Killer.
Yeah.
Into the deep
Flies.
guts.
Amazing.
Flies.
Amazing.
Because you got to get to the center to
gotta
really
get-
take it out.
to
You
take it
know?
out.
I
Like,
love
when you're
that.
blowing up an asteroid that's going to demolish
Yeah,
Earth, you got to
yeah.
get to the middle,
Yep,
so it
yeah.
blows everything up.
Yeah.
Dear listener, I can't express enough how glorious these moments are in this movie.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
This
We were laughing. We were, I think, cheering at certain
this
points.
glowing cat just floating into the mouth of this beast.
Yep.
Kamikazing himself.
Kamikazing
Really, yes.
himself
Down
for the sake
into the
of greater
stomach.
good.
into
Yeah.
the bowels
Yeah.
of this beast where he
Yeah.
ignites and becomes nuclear Godzilla.
He does.
Yeah, it was
He goes
like
nuclear.
when Gandalf,
Yeah.
dives to fight the,
The
Balrog.
Balrog,
That's
yeah.
what it's like. You know,
Yes.
this cat is making that sacrifice.
Yeah,
you know,
Captain Rose like, flee.
yeah.
And they show the girl's face. She's just like she's just like giddy watching.
Right.
She
She's
knows.
like, oh,
Yeah.
She
he
knows.
was meant to do it. He's doing it for us. And then, so explodes inside. But then, like, the monster starts like drying up and freezing.
Yeah.
And from inside, there's rumbles and everything, and the parts just explode, and the whole thing goes. And then we have our particles again.
Yeah.
Our glowing firefly particles everywhere. And
it's like at the end of Hocus Pocus when Bette Midler blows up and there's
Yes,
like glitter everywhere. It's
glitter
like
everywhere,
that.
Yes. Bye-bye. And then, yes. And so there's just glitter particles everywhere. Everyone's
It's like
happy.
floating down like it's snowing.
Yeah. It's a beautiful moment.
She's like
Beautiful moment.
she's like twirling in it.
She is. She's very happy. She's like, this means we can go home. This is what will help us get home. And then she, like lifts off, discorporates from her body.
But thank God the cat is still alive.
She calls for the general because it's time to go home, and the general just like shakes off the dust.
Right, yeah. The general, out of a pile, it's like...
Shakes out the dust.
Out of a pile of
He's
dust,
fine.
she's like, we're good. And then they just float off
into
towards
oblivion.
home. A puppet cat is striding its way towards, and I think gives one good look back. They wave goodbye, and they're off.
They float away.
They're off to the...
So is their mission complete?
Yeah.
Yeah, they killed the Star
Alright.
Killer.
Star Killer is dead. They can go back to their home planet.
But
It only took thousands of years for them to
Yeah, exactly.
because they were stuck, they had
Yeah.
to. Right? Is that what we're saying? It's
Okay,
like they
would you want to watch the 999 years
No, but
before
I'm
the
saying
1
they suck
year?
at their job if it took this long to do it.
So
you
it
know?
must have been it took them this long to find the octagons.
Yeah.
I guess.
So
yeah.
they were like searching other planets, I'm guessing.
Maybe there were other people at certain points
Yeah.
or other objects.
Maybe.
Maybe
they
she
just
was.
didn't know that these things had been on Earth for thousands of years.
possible.
and in museums.
Yeah.
In Hong Kong.
Did Superman know
always
that
in a
kryptonite
museum,
was on
you know?
Earth
Right.
to a certain point?
I know. I
Right.
thought about that a lot. The Superman connection. It's like, okay,
And I like the final moment in this movie is the journalist coming up asking for an interview. He's like, "No, I'm tired. You can read about it in my next novel."
Freeze frame.
yeah.
Done.
So full circle
you gotta
back
go
around to him writing the novel.
the old cat. But you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to check that
Right.
one out, Sean. Take one for the team.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Get into
I'll,
the
all right. I'll look
Wisely
into it. I'll track it
series.
down and see if there's what similarities there are and what changed for this movie.
Because I think it was.
I'm
written
gonna
in, like,
I'm gonna guess
70s
the
or
sweating
something.
scene was not in that novel. Gonna guess.
Well done.
Fantastic.
Well done carrying us through this, John.
Hopefully I did well. Hopefully
It made more sense listening to you.
Yeah,
explain
it was-
good.
It
than
was
it does
not-
when you watch
It
the
does,
movie.
yeah. It was not an easy feat.
Good for
Yeah.
a small fee. I'll be happy to come to your house and explain this movie to you if you'd like to watch it.
All right. Well, I guess that means that we're going to go around the table and tell you whether you should watch it, if you can find it.
And how you can.
Yeah.
It's not so hard.
Right. Yeah, because it turns out there's
I made
several
a
copies.
small DVD of this
You can
DVD,
download
you put
it.
a menu on it
with
too.
a little menu on it.
Yeah.
Pictures to come.
Yeah, because you can download it on the Internet Archive. That's
Yep.
where
It's
you
also
got
on
it.
Daily Motion.
Yeah.
So you can find it. It is pretty
Ask
easily
your
available to watch.
grandparents about Daily Motion. That's ancient internet lore, yeah.
Yeah, dear listener, there's certain things if you can't find them anywhere else, Daily Motion will do it for you. So it's always been a good can't find it on most other places or YouTube. Daily Motion will have it.
I know, but when you told us last week we're watching on Daily Motion, I'm like, is it
Did you
fucking
flashback?
2005?
Yeah, right,
What
exactly.
the fuck are you talking about?
You're like,
Watching on Daily
yeah,
Motion.
you're like, how do I even get there? Daily Motion.
Yeah, me watching 15-minute episodes of Metalocalypse split up into 2 parts because
Yes.
it needs to be free.
It's
in
always
Daily
2
Motion.
parts.
15-minute episode to start with. Yeah, God,
You are correct.
Yes.
God, I haven't thought about Metalocalypse in
I
years.
know. I know. I think I have the DVDs now because I got tired of that Daily
Oh,
Motion
amazing.
bullshit.
I used to love that show.
Yeah, same. I wonder if
Or-
it holds
or-
up. Maybe I'll
right.
rewatch it.
Or
yeah.
it was on there, but because of copyrights, they can only show you a
The
corner,
corner
of
of the
a corner of the picture. Although it
Adult
was
Swim
on.
was always cracking down on that shit. Yeah, they ruined our fun.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
or just a really bad watermark on the
Yeah,
screen, just like
yeah.
you can see some of it. Yeah.
All right. Well, before we tell you what we thought of the movie, we're going to read some of your mail. And in order to do that, we're going to have to summon our mailman. Igor, bring us the mail.
Masters, the mail. I've got the mail. So many letters. Our followers are rising.
Why, thank you, Igor.
Thank you, Igor. Igor, do you know the general? Have you crossed paths
In a
before?
past life, I'm sure, right?
Probably.
Mhm.
In a past
I'm
body,
sure.
if nothing else. Are you the general?
One of his parts remembers him, I'm sure. you
I
know?
think he's fueled by that same stardust.
Yeah.
It feels like it, right? Like that's part of his being.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I think that's his life force.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I know we told you at the beginning of the show, but we should probably let you know again how to contribute and participate on this interactive portion of the show by following along on Facebook.
Facebook.com/Saturday Night Freak Show.
Or X.
@Sat Freak Show.
By email.
SaturdayNightFreakShow@yahoo.com.
Or on Threads or Instagram at Saturday Night Freak Show. About tonight's movie, The Cat. You're like, has anyone seen The Cat?
I hope so.
Michael Whitaker writes in and says, I got to say, where other horror podcasts zig, you guys zag. I love about this show. Just reading a short blurb about the plot makes it sound like it should have been a 1980s dubbed anime TV show that aired on Saturday morning.
Probably.
Travis Legler says, as someone who just adopted a cat in the past year, I'm not sure I'm ready for a sci-fi movie about one. These animals already make me question so much.
You're ready. This will. Oh, if you just adopted the cat, you should
They're
watch
enigmas.
it. Watch it together.
Hero cat movie. There you go. Is that going to be on the Criterion channels? Like
it
cat
better
movie?
be.
I think honestly,
next to Sleepwalkers and Clovis. Yeah.
Okay, I think it was. When they had, because when we watched Riki-Oh, remember we were going through the menus and we saw the cat channel?
There was a cat
channel. It was on there because when I went looking through this, there was a mention of it on the Criterion channel. It's not on there now.
Yeah.
But I think it was on there.
Collections all the time.
So it may come back around.
Maybe, but I think it was on there.
Okay. Last week we watched a movie called Deranged. Lucas Accardo. Oh, so we mentioned Deranged is the Ed Gein story, and it came out the same year as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is also inspired by the Ed Gein story. And Lucas Accardo says, and they both include delightful dinner scenes.
Yeah.
They truly do.
It's true.
Truly do.
Mike Kling says, I'm just going to read what he says here. He says, Ezra screaming in the mirror, 5 whiskey sours.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a rating system or if that was a scene in the movie after he drank the 5 whiskey sours.
He did, and then it was what was her name?
Mary.
He got drunk for the first time, just yelling the waitress.
Which I'm still baffled by a whiskey sour in what looked like a champagne glass.
Yeah, they served it right. They served it weird.
Yeah, it looked like a kitty cocktail, but it was a whiskey sour.
Yeah,
but it was like four ounces of a whiskey sour. It was not
very
a lot.
Weird. Yeah, if that is your rating system, bravo. I love it. I'm for it.
Yeah.
We mentioned that the Ed Gein, Ezra Cobb, was played by Roberts Blossom, the actor. Mark Harrison says, oh, come on, his name's not Blossom. I refuse to believe that's an actual surname. No, it is. It is his actual name.
Like, what do you think about Roberts? Like,
that's what bothers me is the Roberts, of it all. Yeah,
he's like two Robert.
Yeah,
Blossom.
Maybe he had a twin he resorbed.
Robert.
He has the face of a man who would do that.
Shouldn't it be
like you are 2 people? You are Roberts.
The Roberts Blossom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's give him that title.
Yeah.
Novato Judoka says, so the kids from Home Alone were onto something.
They were. That's what I'm saying. They were talking about the South Bend Shovel Slayer. Is like, he was that in this movie.
Home Alone is a sequel to Deranged.
Yeah, it is.
Chili Morrison says, I went as Blossom's old man Marley for Halloween a few years back, and it was a big hit.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So he included a picture.
Did you have a bucket?
So we'll have to go back later. So
he
has the hand wrapped up, right, in the movie?
And the bucket of salt.
And the salt and the shovel.
And the coat, yeah.
And Neil Coppola says, hey guys, long-time listener, first-time writer. I've always wanted to say that. Okay. What did you just put me through since I had to adjust for the movie being made 50 years ago? Jesus, 50 years. I guess I can say this was a disturbing concept for 1974.
Yep.
For me, pacing was too slow and not sure I buy all these people being so nice to this guy. He was nuts.
I agree.
You have to...
With that part of it, yeah, those people kind of... they almost had it coming because they were so trustworthy and nice.
With stuff like that, I always ask, like, how small of a town did you grow up in? Because I grew up in a town with like less than 1,000 people in it, and you just have these people who wander around town, and you just like they're nice people, and you wave at them as you see them walking to the town and everything. Like, these people exist.
Yeah, you have no idea.
And you have no idea what their lives are outside of the nice interactions you have with them. So I'm more believing of this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wonder all the time how often on the street I walk past someone who has killed someone. I think about that all the time. How often have I just like stood in line with someone who's a murderer? You know?
Like if I had a superpower, it would something along those lines, like just to know the people you pass by,
right?
Or
have like a radar go off,
like Unbreakable.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, kind of. I mean, yeah. Okay. Fine. If you want to put it as bluntly as Unbreakable. Yes. Spot on.
Yeah.
Well, Neil also says, side note, I also watched Christie, the movie we did the week before, and he said that's a 1 watch maximum. No
Yeah.
way
Yes.
you make it through that disaster a second time. Anyway, keep on
Correct.
making awesome podcasts.
Aw, thank you for
the
writing
effort.
in. That's
We'll try.
awesome.
Christy was not what I had hoped.
No.
So I'm sorry about that.
Well, about Christy, Wolverine
From the maker
Pride.
of Donkey Punch.
Yeah.
Wolverine Pride also saw Christy and saw our photo of James Ransone, who's in the movie,
Yep.
and says James Ransone kind of looks like that guy from The Wire. Because he
Which-
was in The Wire.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he
Yeah,
is.
good
Okay.
one. Good one. Good
So
one.
what you're saying is he is. Okay.
Is the guy from The Wire.
I think we deduced on that episode James Ransone is a poor man's Jim Cummings. So you don't need James Ransone if you have Jim
Interesting.
Cummings.
True.
Okay.
All right, well,
Oh, we also discussed at a certain point. Somebody was taking. Boyd Holbrook was taking all of Charlie Hunnam's roles.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. We did.
Like,
Charlie
Boyd Holbrook,
Charlie
Charlie
Hunnam has
Hunnam
no
keeps trying for
career.
these bad
Yeah.
guy roles and
Yeah.
has no career because
Yeah,
Boyd Holbrook has been
Holbrook
taking all of
taking
them.
Yeah.
That's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Boyd Holbrook is also playing Johnny Cash in the Timothy Chalamet.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Boyd
wow.
Holbrook plays Johnny Cash.
Oh,
in that.
wow.
Yeah, so he's taking
I
all
will
of
not
them.
be watching that movie, but good for him.
well,
So Charlie
thank
Hunnam's
you,
like, Boyd.
Yeah, God damn it.
well, thanks everybody for writing in. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We do. Thank you.
Now we're going to go around the table and tell you what we thought of tonight's movie, The Cat, starting with
Michaela, what did you think of The Cat from
Oh
1992?
boy, you're putting me on the spot because I don't know how I totally feel about it. There was parts I really liked, but also I get very frustrated with the movie where I can't follow what the fuck is happening. And you had to talk us through a lot of this movie, and that's not an optimal movie experience.
True.
I mean, my mom would love if every movie just came with a person explaining the plot. That's not how I like to watch movies. So,
That'll be our first version of like AI robots to explain to old people what is going on.
so that you can watch a movie in peace. You
Yeah.
just put the AI to tell them all the
Just
plot
like
stuff.
headphones. They have their own headphones on.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah, that would make my life so much
The cat
better.
is an alien. Oh, I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. But like my mom's more like, well, is that one guy from that one thing, and that's the amount of detail she gives me. I'm like, I need something. Yeah, I don't know. The effects were cool. It was out there and it was insane, and I do love that it's from the same universe as Riki-Oh, but I found it very frustrating to keep up with. I'm gonna recommend it, but I'm gonna recommend it with a caveat of like maybe watch it in like a midnight.
All right, somebody
movie
put that
scenario.
junkyard fight on right now. It's like you remember what happened in this movie.
But like I'm recommending it, but I don't think it's something you should like necessarily watch alone. You know what I'm
No.
saying? I think it's like
Probably
a midnight
not.
movie situation. I could see how you'd turn it off after like 15 minutes because it's real talky and weird at the beginning.
Yeah, it's like you kind of have to know what's coming.
Right.
You got to know that those
Yes.
moments are going to come.
I would say
in order to-
definitely listen to this episode and then see if you want to watch it.
Yeah.
Like, because we're describing it the best we can, but it is really insane. But also, like, you might need all the context we've given you to even understand it.
It's
So-
not a spoiler situation.
No.
Like, this is going to
No.
guide you through
You'd
it.
have
No,
to
it will help.
understand what's happening to be spoiled. And
Yeah.
if you
Right,
don't
yeah.
understand what's happening, you can't be spoiled.
Yeah, listen to us or like even read
Yeah.
that Wikipedia description and then watch the movie. It will
right.
help you.
Yes. So it sucks that it comes with homework, but I'm still going to recommend it. Colin, what'd you think?
I was surprised, I guess, by this because I was like, okay, I guess, I liked Riki-Oh. That
yeah, that was
surprised
a
me.
delight.
But I've seen, I guess that's the thing, like, from the first 15 minutes of this movie, I'm like, oh, it's one of these kind of movies. And then, and so I was like, I think that's going to be for a lot of people, like Michaela was saying, I think you're going to get into it and you're going to be like, okay, it didn't pass I tested it, dipped my toe in and I'm out. But it's like 20 minutes in and then it becomes nuts. And then it just keeps getting more and
Yes.
more
Yep.
Yes.
nuts. And I was surprised I wasn't bored. I guess that was the thing that I was afraid of, because a lot of times I think a lot of Asian movies spend a lot of time explaining what everybody's doing
Yeah.
at every
I
given
wish
time.
this one did more. of
Yeah,
that.
I guess that's the-
For once. For once. Yeah.
for once, I wish, because I think they're not explaining a lot. I mean,
No.
like I said, I
No.
still have questions, but ultimately,
Like
I
we
think,
always bash on an exposition dump, but in this, when she gave a small one, we're like, finally.
Right. Right. It was 2 sentences to explain something. We're like, yes.
there's the
we know
plot.
where we're
Okay,
going.
what's happening? But yeah, the special effects were amazing, and I guess I really just enjoyed looking at them. Because it seems like it's been so long since I've seen that kind of gooey special effects stuff, and I
Yeah.
really like it. And this was like, wow, that's like a big event kind of thing. It was weird. which I appreciated. It's like who sat there? I want to know, right? Like the guy, somebody reads this novel and is like, I think this would make a good movie. Like, who's that guy? And then somebody who reads that script and goes like, I'm going to give you money for that. You know, it's madness. You're just like, what? Who thought this was going to do well? I imagine it didn't. He hasn't made another movie since, or he was like, I can't top this.
It made like 2.7 million in Hong Kong, and that was about it.
I mean, I've never heard of it. I guess, you know, the fact, right? I mean, I've heard of Riki-Oh.
Right.
This one.
Never heard of this one. No.
If it has a cult following out there, I'm surprised. Maybe we're going to start it. There you go.
Let's make that the thing. We'll start it here.
If
Next
it comes
week,
back on
a bloody, disgusting, like
exactly.
uncovered hidden gem, the cat, coming to 4K Blu-ray through from video.
Yep.
Yeah.
There it is.
But I guess, you know, I mean, anything you got to see, it's like, okay, you take the good with the bad. It had the cat versus dog fight scene was one of the craziest, just gleeful things that I've seen in a while. Well, except maybe a movie that was in theaters this year that I also had a similar reaction to. You know, where you're just kind of like, wow, that is some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And so I think all the effects sequences cumulatively are better than you know, the sum of the movie's parts. The parts are like, they're bad. I didn't understand what was going on a lot of the times. I thought the writing was like, just not there. But yeah, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this movie because it's one worthy of discovery. It's a crazy, big, splattery Hong Kong nutso action movie. Holly, what'd you think? Oh, I'd recommend it. Holly, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think Michaela and Colin, you both summed it up exactly what I was thinking. It's just the first like 20 minutes or so of this movie is so confusing and just so slow that if I had been watching it by myself, I probably would have shut it off, not knowing that there was so much to come. But once you get past that, I was awestruck by the rest of this movie. Like I think my mouth was probably hanging open the entire time watching it. It was just that batshit crazy.
And then the other half was like, we were very giggly.
We were laughing a lot. Yeah. It was just absolutely nutso. I can't even, I was not expecting so much to come out of this movie. It gave us so many elements of so many different genres that we love on this show. Like we got the crazy gun action, which I wasn't expecting. Insane explosions, was not expecting that. And then we got like the practical gory effects that were really amazing. A crazy cat dog fight that was like WWE style. Like just, and then we actually had like a scary monster. Like the elements that were in this movie were just insane. I can't believe what we just watched.
And then we got great footstep Foley.
Oh, I love footstep Foley. Sean and I both love the sound of shoes in movies.
It was wonderful.
It's
just a moment where all the cops are finally finding the apartment.
It's just
and they collect and they're
really
going up.
Great clacky.
It's just a lot of good clacky footstep. It's hard to explain, but it's just good Foley work. It just sounds good to the ear.
It's so great. I have a pair of shoes that I wear to work sometimes that have the most amazing clacky sound.
Do you go to like an echoey stairwell and just walk?
It's right by the elevators. Like I have the best clacky sound, and I wear those just for that clacky sound. But this was a surprising movie. I totally agree that without you explaining what was happening, it would have...
You need a guide.
You do need a guide. You really do. So I recommend if you're going to watch it, you should listen to the show for what you already have, but you listen to the show first and go into it with a very open mind because the batshit crazy stuff that you're about to see overtakes the confusing, non-explanatory plot. Like it was wild. It is a wild ride. So yeah, don't watch it alone and prepare yourself before you watch it. But I'm going to recommend this crazy ride for sure. Sean, take us home.
Yeah. I mean, you guys all three nailed it tonight. I will agree. Just know what you're getting into before you get into it and know that the good stuff is coming. And I think you'll be good. And listen to the show, beforehand. And I think you'll be all set. Having said that, I loved it. I have no complaints. No complaints. 10 out of 10. Everything I wanted it to be. I saw that a few bits of that dog cat wrestling scene. I'm just like, I think this will be something that we should watch and other people should watch because I haven't seen that scene anywhere else. Like I don't like there. I just haven't, and I think as many people as possible need to see it just so we can all talk about it. So the cat, the 1,000 Years Cat from 1992. I recommend it. I think you should all watch it. I will be your guide, and I will get you through it. But it's just fun. I just had so much fun with this tonight. So yeah, I recommend the cat.
Well,
there
that's a universal recommend
Yeah.
from the Saturday Night Freak Show.
And let me say, when we first started watching this, I did not think this was going to be a recommend at all.
I did wonder, like, I'm just like, okay, you weren't here last week, so like, what do you know about this going into it?
Nothing.
And he's like, nothing. I'm like, well, that's good. On
Like,
a
what
level.
am I showing up for? Did you even know what the movie was?
No,
Like,
I didn't.
like we're watching something.
I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Good.
The cat.
The cat.
Woo.
There you go.
Again, it starts. The rediscovery starts now.
All right, so next week we're going to watch a movie that's chosen by
Holly,
Mm.
what are we gonna watch next week?
Last pick of the year.
Last pick of
Last
the
pick of
year.
the year.
Wow, a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Well, it's holidays, and I was trying to think: is there a holiday movie that
It's
we
the
haven't
holidays.
done? It's the holidays. Is there a holiday movie we haven't done yet? I think I found one.
Oh,
I think I found a New Year's movie,
Okay.
a New Year's giallo.
Oh,
Get out.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Colin, looking at you. We're gonna watch The Fifth Chord.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
okay. I
Don't
have
know
seen
anything
that
about
one.
this.
I figured you have.
okay,
cool.
All right.
All right.
Wow.
Let's do it.
Any hint of what it's about?
It starts at a New Year's party.
Okay.
Which
Are
those
there
movies
masks?
are always weird.
It's
So,
a murder
yeah,
mystery.
yeah.
It's got, well,
We'll get into it.
all right, so
right.
the Fifth Chord
Okay.
next week is it's not Giallo shots yet, right? Is it
No.
is Giallo shot?
That's only-
Giallo January.
Mhm.
How do we do?
No, let's listen to voices.
Yeah, let's check it.
All right. So anyway, we hope you'll join us for that. And until then, ladies and germs, the basement is going dark.